This is your weeaboo warning. The following video contains graphic content some normies may consider to be disturbing. The footage used is from content made for adults, so make sure you have your mommy's permission if you're not of age. I'm going to be talking about events from Brightburn and The Boys, and there will be spoilers for both. So, if you haven't seen them yet, I highly recommend you go watch them before finishing this video. That way, you'll be able to enjoy them to the fullest and have a greater understanding of the content I'm talking about. Now let's get this battle underway. In the red corner, we have Briar from the movie Brightburn. He's basically the what if Superman was evil character, sent to our planet as a baby in a pod to grow up, kill us, and take over. If you've watched Dragon Ball Z before, you should be familiar with this concept as it's similar to what the Saiyans did with their children. While still only a child at 12 years of age, he's extremely powerful, having many of the powers and abilities Superman has. After being brainwashed by the noises coming from his ship, he now has a one-track mind to take over the world, killing anyone who gets in his way, including the people who raised him. In the blue corner, we have Homelander, who is basically the what if Superman was a corrupt a-hole with a MILF fetish. Raised in a lab, he was deprived of a loving family and is now seriously messed up in the head. Unfortunately for everybody else, he's the most powerful hero on the planet. But he hides his true nature, being the perfect poster boy for Vought and is leader of the Seven. Similar to Brandon, his powers strongly resemble Superman's, which is the reason I decided to make this video. So, which one of these Psycho Superman wannabes is the superior of the two? Well, that's what you guys are here to find out, so I'm gonna try my best to analyze the feats these two psychos have performed to give you my best educated guess on who I think wins this battle. Let's start off with their physical strength. Brandon's best feat of strength was when he lifted his uncle's truck completely off the ground. This shows off the power he can exert with his flight, and also his grip strength, as he had to actually hold on to it so it wouldn't fall. Later in the film, he viciously threw around a female officer over an extended period of time, mortally wounding her. He also accidentally tossed the lawnmower quite a distance, with it being completely airborne for about 4 seconds. Homelander didn't get to show off much of his lifting strength, but in the opening scene of the show, he casually threw a criminal in the air with one arm so high that he didn't come crashing down for another 6 seconds. And when he did, he came down hard enough to partially destroy a car. This feat is pretty comparable to Brandon throwing the lawnmower, but Homelander did it with one hand casually, while Brandon used 2 hands and was frustrated. The guy Homelander threw also had a longer air time than the lawnmower, and was probably heavier as well, since the average push lawnmower seems to be around 64 pounds according to my research, while the average American male is almost 200 pounds. When on the airplane that was going down, Queen Maeve asked Homelander to lift the plane, and rather than just saying it was too heavy, he said he couldn't do it because they were in the air and he had nothing to stand on. This would imply he's strong enough to lift a large passenger plane if he's on solid ground. This would put his lifting strength far above what Brandon has shown. But it does imply the force he can generate from his flight isn't as high as the force he can generate from his muscles. So if it came to a pushing contest in the air, Brandon might be superior, as his flight power was enough to lift up a truck. Homelander might be able to lift a truck off the ground with his flight as well, since just because he can't lift a plane doesn't mean he can't lift a much lighter truck. But he doesn't really have the feats to back it up. So for lifting strength, I would give Homelander the muscle advantage, but Brandon the flight advantage. Next, let's move to speed. Both of these characters have shown off incredible flight speed, being able to cross large distances in a short amount of time. However, what's most important in this fight is how fast they can fight at close distances with each other, rather than who can fly faster over a long distance in a straight line. So I'm not going to focus on trying to calculate their max flight speed. Brandon has been shown to move at speeds where the human eye could barely keep up with him. If you look away for a second, he can show up in an entirely different spot just seconds later. We haven't seen Homelander get into a serious fight yet, so it's hard to say how fast he is in combat, but he was fast enough to save Butcher from an almost point-blank C4 explosion while multiple feet away from him. The blast of a C4 bomb moves at about 8,000 meters per second, which is 23 times faster than the speed of sound, and significantly faster than anything Brandon has shown. I would like to note A-Train was stated to be able to run at over 1,000 miles per hour, which is a bit faster than sound, and was able to fight extremely fast while in combat, being able to completely statue Starlight and Huey. Since the other members of the Seven are afraid of Homelander, I find it highly likely that he would be able to tag A-Train, and this is backed up by his C4 feat. Considering Homelander is supposed to be superior to A-Train, someone who has greater combat speed feats than Brandon, and how Homelander himself has a greater reaction speed feat than anything Brandon has shown, I have to give Homelander the significant speed advantage here. Now that we've talked about speed and strength, let's combine those aspects and talk about striking power, which is the force they can generate from the speed and strength of their blows. Brandon can easily fly right through walls, and hits with enough power to turn a human body into a bloody mess. His two best feats are taking down an airplane and making a giant building collapse. Homelander doesn't really have much feats in this department, but he was able to punch his hand right through a person's stomach and casually punch out an airplane's door. According to him, if he flew with the airplane fast enough, he would either punch through the hull or send it ass over tit. His words, not mine. But if either of those things are true, he should be able to take down an airplane similar to how Brandon did. And considering how A-Train ran through a bitch, their words, not mine, in a similar way to how Brandon flew through that cop, Homelander should be able to replicate that feat as well. Unless you think Homelander can't hit as hard as A-Train. The only thing Brandon has done that I don't think there's enough evidence to say that Homelander can replicate it is the feat where he made the large building collapse. Even though I think it's possible Homelander can do something like that, he hasn't shown that he can yet. However, all of Brandon's striking feats are him just charging at people. I don't remember him actually throwing any regular punches. And since Homelander has punching feats, and like we talked about earlier, the advantage in muscle strength, I would side with Homelander when it comes to punching power. However, I'll have to give the overall striking power to Brandon due to how good the building feat is and how he actually took down a plane rather than talking about how he could. Since both of these evil Superman wannabes have retained one of the Man of Steel's most famous powers, laser vision, let's compare them and see how they stack up next to each other. Interestingly enough, both Brandon and Homelander have killed a person they, quote-unquote, cared for, with laser vision in the exact same manner, by lasering them right through the eyes. Both of them lasered their victim for about the same time. The only noteworthy differences I found were that Brandon's dad was alive long enough to scream for a few seconds, while Homelander's victim was only able to gasp. And that Brandon's heat vision burned right through his dad's skull, while it seemed Homelander's heat vision didn't go all the way through. Each difference could imply that the other's heat vision is stronger, so I can't make a final judgment off these scenes alone. The other noteworthy laser vision scene Brandon had was when he slowly cut a large metal door in half. This feat is dwarfed by Homelander's, where he cut a small jet in half almost instantly. Homelander has also shown that he could slice apart human bodies like butter. This leads me to believe he was holding back when he was shooting his lasers through Stillwell's eyes, possibly because he wanted to do it slowly, or maybe because he didn't want to make a mess. However, in Brandon's case, he doesn't really have anything to say he was holding back, as he killed his dad while in a rage, and how slowly he cut through that metal door. Homelander has also shown he's very precise with his laser vision, being able to accurately target a criminal's gun while he has a hostage right next to him. Due to these reasons, I have to say Homelander has the clear superior heat vision. How about durability? Which one of these two can survive more punishment? The only thing that was able to hurt Brandon in his movie was the metal from his spaceship. The moving blade of a lawnmower broke when his hand came into contact with it, rather than the other way around, and he was completely fine after his dad shot him in the back of the head. His body also had to be durable enough to survive crashing into a plane and going through the building he destroyed. Homelander has yet to be hurt by anything, and according to Stillwell, no human weapon has been able to hurt him. He's able to casually walk through machine gun fire, and should be more durable than Queen Maeve, who was completely unharmed after using her body to stop a truck completely in its tracks. Since neither of them have actually been pushed to their limit yet, I think this one may be too close to call, but considering how Brandon flinched and looked like he may have been in pain when shot in the back of the head, and how he was damaged by his ship's metal while Homelander has been yet to be hurt at all, I would probably give Homelander the slight edge if I had to pick one of them. Now that we've looked at these two characters' raw stats, we have their special abilities to consider. I already talked about their laser vision and their ability to fly, so now I'm going to talk about the powers that are unique to them. Brandon has the ability to manipulate technology, making lights flash and break, jam communications, and other phenomena. It seems he can also change the temperature at will since he made it get colder so his marks could be seen on the diner's window, though it's possible he affected with the thermostat, so that would still be a technological ability. Homelander has the ability to see through any objects besides zinc and has super hearing. I find these abilities to be far more useful in this battle, as some flickering lights and a slight change in temperature won't be able to do anything to Homelander, while X-ray vision and super hearing can help Homelander keep track of where Brandon is. This means Brandon can't use his environment to hide and use surprise attacks, which seems to be one of his favorite tactics when fighting. So which one of these superpowered maniacs would win this battle? Well, since neither of them have actually shown what they're fully capable of yet, it's impossible to really say for sure, but just using what we've seen so far, I would have to give Homelander the victory in this battle. With his far better reaction speed feat and his X-ray vision and super hearing, it will be almost impossible for Brandon to land a full-powered flight charge on him, which is the only way I see Brandon winning. And since Brandon will most likely keep missing, Homelander will be able to repeatedly hit him with his powerful and accurate laser vision until Brandon finally goes down. Considering metal from his home planet was able to hurt him, I find it likely a power from his home planet would hurt him as well. And Homelander's laser vision is even better than his own. Since Brandon has never shown to be resistant to laser vision, things are looking even worse for him. Homelander hasn't shown resistance to laser vision either, but Brandon barely even uses his heat vision. And Homelander is much more likely to dodge Brandon's heat vision than Brandon is of dodging Homelander's. If Brandon realizes he can't tag Homelander with big charge attacks, he may try to go in to fight him in close quarters combat. But he would also be at a disadvantage there due to Homelander being physically more powerful than him and having better punching power. It's true that Brandon is only a child and has room to grow, but as he is now, I don't think he's up for taking on the Homelander. Maybe if Brightburn gets a sequel, this can change, but as of now, we don't even know if it will get one, while Season 2 of The Boys is already confirmed. So it's far more likely Homelander will be the one who ends up getting more feats to prove he is the superior evil Superman. So I doubt my decision will change anytime soon. Listen, viewers. I'm the Homelander. And I can beat whoever the fuck I want.